You know, first overall picks, as you know, these days, it just don't have much time to marinate. Bryce Young is like, tell me about it. And what about Caleb Williams through 3 games? I'm serious. The fact that Jayden Daniels just looked like the way he looked in Cincinnati, that if Caleb Williams is on the struggle bus a little bit again, where there's no rhythm, there's no efficiency, that DeAndre Swift and Rashawn Johnson can't take the pressure off, or the offensive line can't provide a run game for this kid, it's going to just ratchet up a little bit more. And the question is that fair?
Well,
I ask you.
You know the answer to that.
Well, I ask you.
It's definitely not fair, and I also don't think he looks all that bad. He's had the most passing yards in a single game this year in the NFL. But if he had won last week,
right,
I think this week would have been, Caleb Williams, look at the numbers that he just did in a win. It's fine. Everyone needs to slow down.
It doesn't look like what it looked like on Monday night for Jayden Daniels. It just doesn't.
Because no one was watching the Bears game over the weekend.
But I was. I mean, so
it wasn't a national game.
Did you feel like when every single time he dropped back, like this was going to be something good, or he had a full command? Do you feel like he has a full command in the same way that Jayden Daniels gives off that impression?
I feel like he doesn't have clear the coaching that Jayden Daniels has, and we know coaching in this league really matters. Look what Kevin O'Connell said yesterday. And his offensive line isn't as good as Washington. So, yeah, he's kind of back there running for his life, and the game's probably a little bit faster than he maybe thought it was, or it came to him in college. And it's just going to be one of those things. He's not going to come out of the gate as an MVP. Rookies don't win MVP at quarterback in the NFL.
What do you think, TJ?
I agree with what he said. Having watched a little bit of the Bears this year, the line, Chris, that's the thing. After game one, I did sit there. I was watching the Bear fans, and I thought he looked a little lost. But guess what? That's to be expected. It's game one.
Yep.
You can't really fully understand, and this has come from people who really don't understand ourselves. But I don't think you can really understand what it's like till you're out there on that field, and that pass rush is coming at you. So he looked a little lost, but again, to be expected. The line's not that great, but he showed promise at the end of the last game when he really started piling up those passing yards. But I'm with Chris. I think it's going to take a little bit of time, but I think he's going to be just fine.
I do, too, think he's going to be just fine as well. It would be helpful if the run game or the defense put something in the end zone for him.
Well, the first game, the defense,
they did. They got 2 games. They got 2 games coming up at home against the Rams and the Carolina Panthers.
Win them both. Go win them both.
I mean, you're going. I mean, could you, Andy? Just again, and then you're in London. I'll be calling that game against Jacksonville. I would just, for his sake, for the Bears' sake, to get this on an upward swing and cleaning it up and having him look, or having it be a little bit more efficient, because that game at Washington, pal. I mean, that game was. When it was on the calendar to start, it was on the calendar to start. It was one of those games where it's just like, well, that'll be fun to watch the first and second overall picks in the draft go at it, just like last year. Isn't that amazing? The football gods put Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud on the same field last year, and obviously, the result. What does that mean when we're now looking at it from now? Bryce Young actually beat C.J. Stroud.
True.
Okay, right. So the result might not matter.
Well, right now, I want that game flexed into Sunday night. If both these quarterbacks are, playing up here.
You know what might? Well, first of all, let's see. The Sunday night, it's not flexing because that Sunday night is San Francisco and Dallas in San Francisco. So that ain't happening. But
wait, week 6 or week 7?
This is week 8.
Week 8. I thought it was week 7.
Yeah. That ain't happening. So, but I understand that you're communicating your excitement for it.
Yeah.
But
Cowboys.
I will say this. Based on what I saw last night and based what I'm seeing from Philadelphia so far, Washington Commanders have and I'm not going higher register, they've got a real shot.
Yeah, I think so.
Because if they've got hope and belief, and this kid, what he did in Cincinnati, And it's tough to say that that's just, you know, an outlier when that throw he made to Terry McLaurin to wrap it, that they called it up, that they dialed it up, and that he delivered it to basically say, we're not even going to, you know, a rookie would normally make that throw, or certainly when he takes the hit, that throw that Jayden Daniels dropped to Terry McLaurin with 2:10 to go on the clock, with somebody coming in, and he took it in the chops and delivered that dot. Rookie quarterbacks normally would sail that thing out of bounds, or it would float up in the air, and at worst, your team would lose possession, and at best, they would be kicking a field goal and leaving it up to Joe Burrow to try and drive the field to tie it. Instead, he ended it.
Yeah. He was like a snitch on that play. He dropped a dime.
Let me say, guys, when that happened, I audibly said something. Chris Long earlier I leapt off the couch. Chris Long said he won't forget where he was, and I don't think that's an exaggeration.
Yeah, I mean,
so
you know how I feel about Washington.
So again, so that's all I'm saying is, if one team that was not expected to do much actually has a shot to win the division, and the other team is still trying to grind gears to do it, I don't think this is an indication whether somebody's worthy of being a quarterback in this league. But these are just conversations that you hear, and that definitely get into the mind's eye and of, I would imagine, in a young man in a world where people are omnipresent online frequently.
I mean, you look at these two teams, you look at Washington, great run game. Brian Robinson Jr. is a top 15 back in the league. Yeah. Austin Eckler comes in. He's been doing his thing, though he's out this week. And then you look at Chicago, man, DeAndre Swift has really let Caleb Williams down. Maybe the biggest free agent bust so far, and he was the first guy down.
Or it's just the line up front, man.
I mean, even when he does have some space, he's not doing it.
Well, who said earlier this week that Justin, was it Marshall who said that about Justin Fields? Yeah, on What the Football, because it's always Marshall. He's just like, hey, Justin Fields wasn't that bad.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be Roshan Johnson time, so we're going to see if maybe he can provide a spark, but the run game has really let Caleb Williams down.
Or the line up front. We'll see.
Combo.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku Channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.